Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Platform Trial webinar. This is Sabrina Paganoni, and I'm here with our patient navigator, Catherine Small, and our assistant, Jessie. And we are here for our community Q&A about the HEALEY ALS Platform Trial. Now, many of you have been with us for many years following this webinar series. I know I see many new names among the attendees. So just want to take a moment to thank all of you who have been with us, and following this trial for the last few years. Today, we're gonna summarize a few things and also welcome to all new attendees. And I'll try to also explain, a little bit more for those of you who may be new, but so that everything is recorded, all the slides are available on our website. So if you ever want to go back and listen to other recordings, we have kind of a long-standing series since 2020. And just to start, I want to share that the idea of doing these webinars came from our patient advisors. We have a very active patient committee, and they really helped design the trial, launch the trial. They continue to provide super helpful advice, and one of the recommendations was to have these webinars. So I'm gonna still try to be brief because it's a Q&A webinar. We really want to leave time for questions, so feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box. So first of all, and importantly, the HEALEY ALS Platform Trial is a collaboration among so many in the ALS community. We have many people coming together from academia, industry, and a lot of patient groups, organizations, foundations. So thank you to all of you who have been supporting this trial, and especially thank you to all of you who have been participating in the trial or have supported someone participating in the trial or who are considering joining when new regimens become available. Next slide. So the trial is a trial that's really grounded in partnership to make progress together and change the landscape for ALS. And in a nutshell, we opened in 2020 and we have continued to grow. And in fact, we have great plans for growth in 2025 as well. So we were continuing to grow. The principle here is that we have a common protocol and a shared infrastructure. That's what makes the infrastructure or the platform that allows us to test many, many drugs for the treatment of ALS. We call each drug a regimen, and every regimen is housed under this common protocol. So we use sort of same processes to test many different drugs for efficiency, because we have already a very active network of sites, active protocol, lots of processes that have already been put in place in 2020, which makes it easier for us to add new regimens, new drugs for efficiencies. And so we continue to grow. We added 1 to 2 regimens every year, and we have plans of continuing to grow and adding more regimens in 2024. So far, again, we have used the same protocol. We have a central governance structure. We have enrolled 7 regimens or 7 drugs so far at over 70 sites, which are spread across the US. So one of the great features of this trial is that it gives every participant the same opportunities, no matter where they are enrolling. So whether you are from a big city or a smaller city, all across the country, we have sites that offer the same regimens to everyone. And so far, about 1,400 participants have enrolled in this trial. Next slide. So far, what's the progress so far? So we have tested, again, 7 drugs or 7 regimens. And the goal of each regimen is to rapidly test each drug and provide decisive answers and direction. So we want to know if the drugs should move on to a phase 3 trial or not. So we want to efficiently screen out drugs that are not likely to be effective, and also efficiently screen in or provide data on drugs that are worth moving on to phase 3. So the first 2 regimens were stopped and because the results were negative. Regimens 3 and 4, also known as C and D, have been completed and are now in the process of moving on to phase 3, which is good. So we had some results that make it so these results make it reasonable to continue to phase 3. Regimen E was screened out, and regimens F and G are ongoing right now. So regimen F is in partnership with Calico and AbbVie, testing a new compound, and regimen G in partnership with Denali, testing a different compound, and both are roughly at the same stage, meaning that they have enrolled all participants. And now we are completing follow-up as we speak over the next few weeks. And that means that we're going to have results for F and G probably in early 2025. And so right now we are not actually enrolling new participants, but we are completing. We're very much active. We are completing with a lot of activities regimens F and G. And then we are planning to launch new regimens in early 2025. So in 2025, kind of we'll transition from the two current regimens to the new ones, from the current regimens to the new ones. Next slide. Now, each regimen essentially has the same, again, protocol or infrastructure. And so how do we screen drugs in and out? So essentially, we give drugs to a group of participants. Each participant will receive either active drug or placebo in a ratio of 3:1, meaning that for every 4 people that enter the trial, 3 receive active drug and only 1 receives placebo. There is a placebo control period followed by an active treatment extension. And what this means is that for everyone who enters the platform trial, there is, again, a placebo control period with a randomization ratio of 3:1 active to placebo. And anyone who completes that will then for sure receive active drug for a long-term active treatment extension. Every regimen provides data on a number of outcomes that are listed on the slide. There is the primary outcome, that's the one that basically helps us decide, if the drug is effective or not. But then there's a lot of other outcomes, including safety, including secondary and exploratory endpoints. And those are tested on everyone who enters the platform. And then there are some regimen-specific or drug-specific outcomes. Next slide. Now, one important concept about the platform, which is very unique when you join the platform trial as opposed to a standalone trial, is that in addition to testing drugs, and obviously that's the primary goal, screen drugs in or out. In addition to that, because we have this common infrastructure and we work again with the same sites, with the same protocol, with the same procedures, we can do something that would not be possible in the context of a standalone trial. We can use the platform trial as a unique opportunity to advance science or develop new biomarkers. And we can do that because we have essentially these growing placebo group that continues to accumulate and where we test sort of biomarkers using the same processes. And we are really casting a wide net. Everyone who contributes to the platform trial will also contribute to science by providing data on things like DNA or genetics, neurofilament data that, as you may know, is a very important biomarker for ALS. We collect a variety of other biomarkers, and for today, in the interest of time, I'm just going to kind of briefly say it's a variety of biomarkers, and some are drug-specific, some are more general to ALS. And we also collect a number of digital outcomes. So we are collecting speech recordings to quantitate speech. We have collected home spirometry to be able to monitor respiratory function in the home environment. We have a number of patient-reported outcomes, including some new ones that we're trying to really test and evaluate as part of this trial. And for future regimens, for the ones coming in 2025, we're also planning on collecting blood samples to ultimately develop stem cells. So again, a lot of scientific goals that are in addition to testing the drugs, because we think that, and we know from the patient community that people want to help the field, want to help develop new drugs, but also want to help develop better methodology. And we can do that as part of this amazing collaboration with so many in the community. Next slide. And so I want to thank and really highlight this amazing gift that we just received or grant from the MDA, or Muscular Dystrophy Association. We were granted this grant to be able to do some of this biomarker work. This is not just about the drugs. Again, this is about advancing ALS science by exploring new biomarkers, by improving the way we communicate with the patient community, and by adapting the trial itself. We are continuing to change the trial in order to learn from our own experience, as well as from the experience of other groups. So this trial is an adaptive trial, and thanks to this generous grant, we'll be able to continue to develop, to adapt, and again, develop new biomarkers. So thank you, MDA, for this generous gift. It's very important that this trial continues to have these academic or community-wide goals in addition to testing drugs. And we are now in the process, actually, and the reason this is particularly timely is because a few regimens have ended, as explained earlier. So some of the previous regimens are completed. So this is the best time now to start to analyze those biomarkers. As long as the trials are ongoing, we cannot add this kind of additional research. But now that the previous regimens have been completed, we can use the data for this sort of additional analysis. Next slide. So as I said earlier, we continue to adapt and we continue to grow, and 2025 will be exactly along the same lines. So we have already received a lot of applications from different companies to enter the trial in 2025. So the first one that was announced, very excited to work with PharmOst on the next regimen. You can see here on the slide the link to the press release and more information on our website. This is one regimen that we announced, and hopefully we'll be able to announce more regimens over the next few weeks. So we are working closely with a number of industry partners to launch new regimens in 2025. Next slide. And so as we get ready to enroll new participants and launch new regimens, we're also incredibly excited about the partnership with different groups, different foundations, including Les Turner, ALS1, Never Surrender, which are patient groups that are helping us do something that was never done before, which is to create these ACE centers, or acceleration of enrollment centers, because we know that when new regimens open up, we want to be able to give people the access as quickly as possible. And practically speaking, access is oftentimes limited by the availability of personnel, of staff at the site, to be able to enroll as many participants as possible. And so with this generous funding from these visionary foundations, really we're trying to change that completely. And so a few centers, Mass General, Northwestern, University of Minnesota, will be able to enroll faster, because they have this additional funding that's been, again, deployed for the new regimens, as well as other trials. Next slide. This is not the only trial that's available. We want to support all trials, and again, also the acceleration centers will be supporting other trials as well. We want to give people living with ALS the opportunity to enter research if they want to do so, and have an opportunity to participate in trials. So if you are interested in other trials in addition to the platform trial, please use these links that are on the slide. You can download the slides, you can take pictures, or go directly to the links, and those resources are user-friendly and allow you to get a sense of what other trials are available for ALS. I will say right now, like in September of 2024, there aren't many trials that are accepting new patients. Many trials are very active in the sense of following participants like we do, but they're not many are enrolling new participants. However, there are many that are coming up. I think over the next 2 or 3 months, we will see a number of new trials or new regimens in the case of the platform trial. We will see them open up over the next few months, which is exciting. Next slide. So I want to bring to your attention this wonderful opportunity. Time flies. It's less than a month away. The 2024 annual NILS meeting, always happening in the fall in Florida, but also available virtually. And so anyone can register to attend the virtual component. And so you'll be able to hear all the latest in terms of clinical trials and science in ALS. And that's going to happen in just a few weeks. So I would highly, highly recommend considering this experience emails if you want to attend the actual scientific sessions and get all the information directly from the experts. One thing that I would say that's been amazing to see since 2020 when we started doing these webinars is that now there are more opportunities for people living with ALS to either attend webinars or attend actual conferences like this one. And it's really been a shift. It's wonderful to see that thanks to technology now, more people can attend the actual scientific meetings and have access to all the information firsthand. So please consider joining this meeting, the NEALS meeting. Next slide. And there's even more good news. There's more webinars. In addition to the series that we host on Thursdays here, there are other webinars that are hosted by the NEALS Consortium. And here you can see the link on the slide. For example, there are other initiatives that are enrolling right now. In addition to trials, there are many biomarker efforts or other important efforts, such as All ALS, the Access for All in ALS Consortium. It's enrolling right now. So as new trials open up, please consider joining biomarker research or other important initiatives like All ALS so that we can continue to contribute to the development of new drugs. And again, drug trials are great in that they can give the participants access to an actual intervention. But observational studies such as All ALS are actually what makes the drug trials possible. So it's this is really incredible, an incredible initiative that's been funded by the NIH, the National Institutes for Health, and this is really going to be a game changer. So consider learning more about it by attending the webinars. Next slide. And even more good news in terms of upcoming research symposia. So there's this symposium run by ALS1 that's also coming up in November. It's always a great opportunity to learn from some of the best experts in the field. I know that the schedule this year is absolutely fantastic. It will include both researchers and companies presenting. There's also a great day on assistive technology, which is emerging and very important to support function, movement, communication. So it's going to be a 3-day review of everything that you need to know in terms of ALS research, spanning from trials, academic projects, industry projects, as well as assistive technology. So feel free to use the link on the slide. It's virtual, so anyone can join. And this is always really one of the highlights in terms of scientific conferences for ALS. The fall is a time of year when we have a lot of ALS conferences and we kind of regroup and present all the updates from the past few months, from the past months. Next slide. Last but not least, this is our schedule for the next couple of months. And Catherine and Alison are our patient navigators, and you can reach patient navigation as listed on the slide. We have 2 webinars per month. We have a great ALS link, which is a newsletter. And we are planning the webinars to devote some time to the platform trial. As you can see on the slide, that's the schedule for our upcoming updates on the platform trial. And then the second Thursday of every month, we actually spend time talking about expanded access, because we know that not everyone with ALS can participate in clinical trials due to their own disease characteristics. And so there are other options now. Again, something that was not available even just a couple of years ago. Now there's expanded access for those who do not qualify for trials. So that's why we are kind of, having this sort of 2 different types of webinars, one for EAPs or expanded access, the second Thursday of every month. And then normally the 4th week of every month, we have this platform trial update, but because of holidays, I think the next few months will be a little bit, perhaps the 5th week, I don't know exactly, but we'll be sure to communicate that well in advance. So those are the next few dates. And now I think we can take down the slides and kind of take the questions. So there's a couple, I'm going to group some of the questions because some are the same. We have a lot of questions tonight, so thank you so much for typing them. So some of the questions are about the regimen F and regimen G, which are the ones that are ongoing right now. Regimen F is testing a drug from Calico AbbVie, and then regimen G is testing a drug from Denali. And so the questions are, a few questions are, are there any results, or when are we going to have the results? And so the answer again is that we are actively completing these trials, and people are still on drug. So people, when we say completing, I mean, I'm referring to the placebo-controlled portion of the trial. But then, as I said earlier, the participants can continue and are continuing in the active treatment extension. So what's happening right now is that we are completing the randomized controlled period of the trial. We don't have results yet because we cannot even start the analysis until the randomized control portion is finished. But we're going to do that over the next few weeks or months. And so we're going to analyze the results while the other participants remain on drug as part of the active treatment extension.
If it's helpful to think of it in a different way, when we talk about our enrollment goals for the study, when we're talking about hundreds of participants, we've completed enrollment for hundreds of participants, but we need about 6 months of data on those hundreds of participants. So for when the last person enrolls, we complete enrollment and then add 6 months to collect data for that person. And I think that can kind of
Exactly.
help imagine the
Yeah,
timeline.
exactly. And there's a few questions here about the timelines again, in terms of, because we have not been enrolling in these regimens for a few months, as Catherine basically was alluding to. Essentially, we have not accruing new participants, but we had to wait. We have to wait until everyone completes the 6 months. And so, some people are still completing the randomized control trial, so that's not ended yet. That's why we cannot even start analyzing the results. And again, we will definitely advertise the results or share the results publicly, as we've done for previous regimens. For those of you who have again, we are having the last few visits over the next few weeks, and then we're gonna take just a few weeks to analyze the results and announce them. So be sure to follow again this webinar series, and we will continue to keep you posted. Again, there's a number of questions again about sort of the timelines. I don't have the exact timeline right now because people are still in the trial, but then we will share the results as soon as possible. So I see that there is a number of other questions. So a question about neurofilament light. So are we using neurofilament light in the trial? And yes, we're measuring it on everyone. We don't restrict enrollment by neurofilament level, but we do measure it in different ways, and that's taken into account in a number of analyses using different statistical models to account for different levels of neurofilament. So we are definitely, that's definitely front and center and really part of many analyses for our trial. So the other question is, there are many promising ALS research companies or drug companies in other countries, not just the US. And so do we follow those developments? Absolutely. We are in constant communication with the international community. In fact, some of the companies that are being part of the trial are not from the US. For example, Prelenia, that was one of the original regimens, it was originally originated in Israel, although now also has a US presence. Then UCB, that was part of the first regimen, is actually from Belgium. And I'm now trying to think where the other companies are from, but for sure the new regimen, PharmOst, is from Australia. So we have a variety of companies, including companies from overseas, that have been already part of the trial, will be part of the trial, and we certainly continue to engage with the global community. So so the question is, why are there not more drugs right now in the platform trial, or will there be more drugs? Well, I mean, it's really a matter of kind of logistics, and it's just there are many drugs out there, and we have selected drugs, and it's just a matter of logistics and contracting and drug availability. But we are working hard to, again, start new regimens in early 2025. So there's a question about sort of accelerated approval and if that's possible for ALS. Yes, absolutely. The accelerated approval is one of the pathways that's available at the FDA for ALS. And so we are actually in constant communication, with companies about their interest in full approval versus accelerated approval. And we've had a number of discussions with the FDA. So I think that, if there was a drug that met criteria for accelerated approval, obviously that would be considered. There's a couple of questions about other trials here. We're trying to, again, focus these webinars on the platform trial itself, as there are other webinars from others about other trials. But very briefly, yes, there's a question about high dose B12 injections. So that's out of Japan. And so the question is, should that be approved in the US? Well, I mean, that's in order for a drug to be approved, the company needs to apply in every specific region. So it's a different application by region. So, I think, if the company decided to apply in the US, I think, that would be good so that we can review the data and see if it's worth applying. The medication is not available by prescription. It's available from compounding pharmacies. And so you could talk to your physician about it. So a couple of questions about the Spanogenics trial. So that's in Australia, and wonderful that that's really moving forward, and I can't wait to see the results. A question also about the RNS-60 trial. That's a trial that's being completed in Italy, and with some interesting results. So I really, really hope that there's going to be follow-up studies to that. So again, nothing new from my point of view right now, but really excited about the results, and hopefully there will be a follow-up trial. And the questions are continuing to come in, so thank you so much. I'm trying to catch up. There's a few questions about previous regimens. Pridopidine was tested in a previous regimen, the platform trial, and right now it's moving on to phase 3. So obviously we need to wait for the phase 3 to be completed, and so right now, again, the regimen B, which was testing pridopidine, was completed. The company is working on the next trial, and that really shows the power of the platform trial. The goal of the platform trial is to rapidly screen drugs to decide if it makes sense to move to phase 3 or not. And in the case of pridopidine, the answer was yes, it makes sense to move on. And so that's been planned right now. I do want to mention that for people who do not qualify for clinical trials, there is an ongoing expanded access of pridopidine. So that's available in the US for people who don't qualify for clinical trials. So talk to your physician if you are interested in that. So for people who do not qualify for clinical trials, there's like a 200 patient study that's going on, actively enrolling participants. And in fact, our next EAP webinar is about that, is about the pridopidine EAP. So if you want to have more information, please join the webinar. And I see, again, we have many new attendees tonight, and so welcome. I see somebody saying, I'm new to this program. What's the best way to get involved? Well, I would say that the best way to get involved, so thank you for your question. That's a perfect question. It's important to talk to your physician first. I think it's important to talk to your ALS physician and clinic and see if they are participating. We have over 70 sites across the US, so chances are that they are participating. If you have any additional questions, or if your clinic or physician doesn't know about this program, please contact Catherine. And I know that Catherine always puts her contact information in the chat. I think I see that there. So please feel free to email Catherine so that she can give you more information if your physician is not familiar with it. And there's a question is in terms of cost. It doesn't cost anything to participate in the trial. Obviously, we realize that people need to spend time and sometimes travel. So that would be a cost, but the trial itself, is free. And so if somebody comes from far away, including international locations, it's possible to participate in the platform trial. The only thing is that, again, somebody would have to travel to the US. And so that can be a barrier. Great. I think I'm taking the questions here. And I thank you, Catherine, for for posting. I think I took most of the questions. I'm trying to go up and down. And question about the logos that were included. Yes, we included the groups that have supported the trial so far. That said, even if a group has not supported the trial thus far, I mean, we would be happy to engage with them. And obviously, we want to continue to grow and include more groups. Absolutely.
And I'll chime in and add to, I think, some of the questions in the chat. We're of course happy to answer all sorts of questions about the trial, but I'll note that for people who are participating in the trial, you can always go to your study team to ask questions if for people who are thinking about active treatment extension and, waiting on results and trying to make decisions around that. Your study team is a great resource to kind of have that in-depth conversation based on your own experience. So just a reminder too, for those who are participating in the study, you've got us and you've got your study team. So there's a large group of people willing and able to help answer those questions and talk that through with you.
Yeah, and obviously, again, if you have any additional questions, please contact the patient navigator and let us know, and we can try to help you as much as we can. Thank you. And I know that somebody wrote about hope. That's such a powerful message. Thank you for sharing that. It's this is what the trial is about providing hope and providing answers, and we're trying to do that as to the best of our abilities. So we'll continue to communicate with you, and we'll be here on the webinar over the next few weeks, as Catherine listed on the slides. So again, the slides will be available. So if you didn't write down the next dates, please check our website, and we'll be back. Thank you so much. Thank you.